Hey, we're live, y'all. We are on the Avalon Fan Films YouTube channel. We got a little party going on here with a fine group of people that work on Farragut 2024. And I know the question's got to be, hey, why Farragut 2024? Well, it's kind of like Wonder Woman 1984. That's the year we went back to. We did our obligatory Starship Farragut time travel story. You got to do it in every Star Trek iteration. You know, Deep Space Nine did it. Star Trek 4, Voyager went back to modern day. So this was our opportunity to do that, and it took a lot of really great people to bring this together. And so I decided, hey, let's have them on and talk to them all about the amazing things that they did. Let's see, we have got 1 second. I'm trying to add one more person to the stage. I've reached a limit here. Anyway, I've got Dave Reddy, who is Artemis Raines. We've got Michael Bednar, who is Captain Tackett of the USS Constitution. We got Keith Hamilton, who did the breathtaking VFX. We have Jonathan James, who worked as the line producer for the film, and Frank Sconey, who is just about the most talented costume designer and costume creator in Star Trek fan films. So I wanted to give you all the opportunity to take a little victory lap and talk about this process. Jonathan James, let's start with you a little bit. Did you know what a line producer was when you signed up for this? And
are you sorry that you did?
The term "shanghaied" is very accurate here. Mm-hmm. I could barely spell line producer. I had no idea what the job entailed, and I did a lot of research after I put my hand up and said and then deeply regretted it for about a year and a half.
That's what happens when you bring a trailer full of generators to a location shoot. All the fixins.
This guy knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
So
it was a cigar circle, Jonathan. You were. It was a moment of weakness.
Yeah. You got me. You got me when I was down.
Jonathan, what was the most challenging part for you? What is it that you ended up doing that you didn't expect?
Well, I've managed projects in the military, and I did everything I could to try and translate how can I take my skill sets and make them work for Farragut. And communication. I'm awesome. It's one of my favorite things. I love talking to people. I love working with people, connecting with people, building relationships, and utilizing people's talents and skill sets. And that's what made this the most successful thing for me, was just getting to know everybody, getting to know their strong points, their weak points, and then just bringing it all together. One of the hardest things was just syncing everybody up in the beginning. We're all volunteers. Nobody's getting paid to do this. So it's all volunteer time, volunteer hours, blood, sweat, tears, and getting people to come to meetings and talk about things, and then try to give constructive criticism about how some people can do some things a little bit better, and just remembering that we're all friends. At this point, we're all family. And, that's pretty much it.
People have no idea sometimes how much goes into something like this. We had to put all these different locations in film. This film had like 10 or 11 locations that were off-site from the studio, like the Capitol Mall, found a bench here, the Air and Space Museum, Goddard Space Flight Center, James Madison University. We built, some sets to motivate as part of the Goddard Space Flight Center. Dave, you took on a producer role on this film. What was the biggest challenge you saw when this whole thing started?
Well, I mean, I think the various locations were the hardest thing. It's easy. I mean, when we did Farragut Forward, everything was within the studio. So creating the different sets, it was a little more controllable. You didn't have to worry about weather or anything of that nature. But when you're trying to recreate, I mean, you're in Washington, D.C. We have to go to the Air and Space Museum. We had to create a gem museum, a mineral museum where the meteorite was. Um, there were all these, I don't know, iconic is probably not the right word, but authentic locations that we had to try to recreate. And so it was, I mean, scouted out. I was at the Udvar Hazy location, and then was down at JMU because they have a gem museum down there, and it looking for the coffee bar to find the right place for the coffee bar. We got our permits to be on the mall, so that was a lot of fun being able to actually film down on the mall. So just trying to, the logistics side of it was probably the most challenging because you got to move everybody around, and of course everything's not like within a 5-minute drive as you go in there. We had that the biggest challenge we had weather-wise was when we were the weekend that we were filming at Goddard, the scenes at Goddard. It was fine during the morning, but then we had torrential downpours the rest of the day, and that's when a lot of the extras were there for the exiting of the building and stuff of that nature. And so we couldn't do our stuff along the fence there where we were doing stuff because of the rain and stuff like that. So yeah, you cross your fingers whenever you're outdoors or doing something like that Mother Nature is going to cooperate. You hope that people themselves are going to cooperate. I can't tell you how many cups of coffee we had to buy for people just to use the front of the coffee bar for the 25, 30 minutes and the hour that we were indoors. So we actually, the ESP was great. We actually had a little side order thing going to take care of that, because you got to take care of the vendor. It's like they were nice enough to open up and let us be in there. So the least we could do is make sure we weren't negatively impacting their customers that day, and people were still getting their coffee. So yeah, on locations, it was a great experience. I would do it again. I like the challenge of piecing it. You made it really look good at the end of the day. Everything flowed, and you had just enough to add the authenticity, even though maybe some of those weren't exactly where you thought they were.
Or we said they were. So I can only have 6
Whatever
people on
do
screen.
you mean?
I can only have 6 people on screen at a time, so I'm going to swap a couple of you out here and there, but stay with me, okay?
Yep.
So I'm going to bring in Jim Brooks, who was the writer of this film. He wrote the screenplay, worked heavily with Dave and John Broughton for the story. And Jim, we were talking about all those locations. That's the thing that first struck me when I read the script for the first time. I was like, we got all these locations. How are we going to pull this off? What was the genesis of all of that and the motivation behind going out into the world, so to speak?
Thanks, Doug. First of all, thanks everybody. Everybody did a fantastic job. I was very, very happy with it. Well, the thing was the marching orders were to do a Star Trek IV pastiche.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in Star Trek IV, they go back in time. And the big thing about having all the location stuff, even though, sorry, Dave, and sorry, Josh, about you guys having to go through and get all that stuff together. It was the whole thing about fish out of water. A lot of the humor came from not just the dialogue, but also the juxtaposition between, our 23rd century Starfleet people and the 21st century that they're thrown into.
Right on. So the character of Artemis Raines, our friend Dave here played. What was the genesis of that character, and how has he evolved, and how do you guys feel about how that all turned out? because I think
So-
it's definitely one of the highlights of the film.
Yeah, so I came in. John and Dave had already been working on parts of the story, and I think Dave mostly had pretty much come up with who Artemis was going to be. We altered it a little bit so that we wouldn't be imitating Harry Mudd too much. So I think that that gave Dave the opportunity to make that character more human and better interactive with, especially Carter, who towards the end of the piece, he and Carter have been at loggerheads, but finally get to the point where they're kind of enmeshed with each other, understand each other's point of view, and really come together.
Dave, what motivations did you kind of find to play the character?
Just myself.
Just found that humor.
We always pictured him as just somebody like, not rigid Starfleet, someone a little more, it's I like to throw in the fact that, yes, I'm a boomer, and I have a little bit of a quirky side to me, but it was always about, we knew that this piece was supposed to be lighthearted. So whatever we could do to just sort of throw in and keep him as sort of like, not what you would expect from typical Starfleet, but somebody just a little more easygoing. He's seen it all. It's like he does his own thing. He follows his own way of doing stuff. And honestly, there's I would say a lot of Artemis and Dave as well. So,
Mike Bednar. So you are our legacy guy, and been at the production.
That's a nice way of saying I'm old.
Well, you've been with the production since its origin. How do you feel about where the state of things is now, how far it's come, and what did you think of this film?
I enjoyed it. It's one, I didn't have a lot in it, so it's easier for me to do. It just, I'm a person who just would rather sit back and watch and let it all happen, sit behind the scenes. And even when we started all this, John will tell you, I wasn't in the original. I mean, he wanted me to play an original character, and I said I'd rather just be behind the scenes and doing that. And then somebody backed out, and so I came in, and it's been that way ever since. But besides Paul always wanting to write me out, I'm kind of slowly making my exit.
And Paul found an interesting way to return, which I loved.
Of course he does. Of course he.
We came in the previous movie, and then when I came on board and I learned that he was still going, I was like, I hope I get to work with Paul. And then I learned that he's going to play this Ifrosian character. I was absolutely beside myself because I'd wanted to work with Paul for a long time because he's a talented actor. So it was really nice to have him in that part. And yeah, I'm with you, Mike. Sometimes it's easier to be the person that isn't stressing out about everything. I know that I've been the person stressing out about everything.
I don't stress about it. I mean, and I've told many people, I don't read the script. I tried not to read the script. I go over my lines. I look at my lines. I semi-rehearse them to myself, and I know them in here. But before we do a scene, I'll look at them again, and it's there. And the moment they're on screen, I dump the brain. It's just I go back to being me. When I watch these things, I want to be entertained. I don't want to know what's going to happen. I just want to be entertained. So yeah.
So we've got one comment from our friend Paul. He's saying that Artemis Shuttle gave off some serious Spaceballs vibes, and that is going to segue into what I want to talk to you next. Keith,
Yes.
This was your first project as well with Starship Farragut.
Yep.
take me through your journey and what you wanted to see from what you did creatively.
Say that last part again. Didn't quite hear you.
Well, you had I'm sure you had a specific motivation for how you approached the series. What was that?
Well, I came on board. I know John called me or messaged me or something. I guess at your recommendation.
Yeah.
And talked about coming on board and taking over for the visual effects. And of course, I've watched Farragut probably since the first episode. So I was very familiar with it and all. And it was just awesome to be asked. I guess my process, I was thinking of how I was going to do the effects was just go back to the motion picture, and of course he wasn't using models. I mean, physical models, using CG models, but just try to capture kind of that motion picture feel, motion picture look. Ships aren't like whipping around and all that. They're kind of slow, plodding, methodical shots. I mean, these are big ships, and they need to act like, move like big ships. And that's just kind of what I was going for, trying to go for that lighting and that look. Just not too clean, not too perfect CG, but just kind of, grain it up a bit and just took from the movies, the like 1 through 6, just took inspiration from that.
I thought it was beautiful stuff. What I liked, I think, the most was the way that a lot of those CG shots were lit was just gorgeous.
Thank you.
And you did a lot of paying homage to specific shots, like the class, Miranda class, flying past the camera. And there was one, the orbiting shot from overhead too. Wrath of Khan kind of callback, which it was that was fantastic.
And I mean that was the homage. I mean, I just wanted to kind of pay tribute to that work, those shots, and just that angle and all, and did that, and the shot of the Constitution kind of coming past camera. I know Michael loved that one. Straight from Wrath of Khan, and I love that shot. I was like, just to pay tribute to all that stuff.
The one of the Constitution at Warp really reminded me. I think it was Star Trek 6. Like later.
Trek 6 I was kind of going for that.
Yeah, and then it seems like you take something and then you expound upon it. For all of us, there's some sort of motivation in homaging, classic Star Trek. Like for Jim, he's writing something that is in the vein of Star Trek 4. For Dave, he's kind of playing the scoundrel character who's really a good guy at heart. For you, you're homaging lighting and specific angles and styles. For me, it was sound design. Frank Sconey, that's a good transition to you. You drew some really interesting motivations for some of the costumes that you designed. Can you talk about that? You there?
Oh, can't hear him.
You're muted.
Does anybody know ASL?
I think he's going to do sign language.
Sounds like.
I think his mic's broken.
Okay, we'll give him a second. Because what he was doing was he did some of the best stuff.
His costuming was just phenomenal.
He did what he did was basically I'll speak for Frank here, and he can hit me over the head later. But basically, he was channeling the designs that Bob Fletcher did for the second, third, and fourth movie, and did a great job of it. Because the costume that Frank's wearing is basically Chekhov's costume from 3. And Dave's costume is kind of an adaptation of David Marcus's costume. So he really, I think if Bob were still alive, I think he would have been amused to have seen that.
And then even Jonathan James playing Hunter, he was wearing kind of the what is it, like the East German like sweater or whatever that Kirk wore in Star Trek 5.
Yeah, it's the Star Trek 5 Commando uniform. Yeah.
Do we have you, Frank? You were there earlier. Your mic is open.
No, now it's muted.
Now it says muted, Frank.
Yeah, that is weird.
Josh, can you unmute from?
Check down your system tray.
He may have to do it all through hand signals.
Watch out, he might flip us off.
But let's if he can't say anything, we can brag on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Are you there? Are you there? Okay. All right.
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
All right. So, Frank, we were talking about the motivations behind everything that each individual member of the team did, and tying that back to canon Star Trek, classic Star Trek. Obviously, you have very specific motivations. Talk about the fun that you had doing this particular film.
Well, thank you, Josh, for hosting this. And I just want to say too, before I go into a long-winded answer on this, that I am, me personally as a fan, I am amazed at how you cut all of these scenes together, where they all looked like they were the same place, even though they were filmings that took place over 4 different times over a year. That was amazing. Just the way like a hallway was turned into a nuclear closet and everything like that by day, and everything just like whipped together so fast, and the story was awesome, and the special effects were stellar. So I got to say that, and of course Tackett. Where would we be without Tackett? So, but to answer your question, yeah, it's fun, kind of trying to make retro costumes of somebody who was trying to do the future back when they were made. So I based everything on like those kind of 1980s designs that Bob Fletcher did for civilian outfits. If you look at them, they all like carried certain trademarks through all of the movies that he did, certain details and things like that. And we have stuff ranging from 3, from 4, kind of inspired by that. And it's really fun kind of jumping into somebody else's wheelhouse in a way and trying to think of how they might interpret the scenes. So I taught myself to sew to make Star Trek uniforms back when I was 15 years old. And honestly, and went through lots of stuff. So 35 years later, here I am, and I'm actually getting to outfit Starfleet crews and stuff, and do all of this civilian wear. I can't say enough too, like how much of a help and inspiration, and the guy who was like has been running costumes for Farragut for the longest time, John Broughton, all that he brought to the table, because with Farragut Forward, we're able to build so many uniforms that now when we have scenes on the Starfleet ships, we can pull from wardrobe and put various people in them, and even different people make them all different ships. Mm-hmm. So we're able to costume that way and be very parsimonious with our Starfleet stuff, but then to take swings, and all of us being in 23rd century civilian wear on the 21st century Washington, D.C. mall. So it was just a lot of fun, but also took a lot of time. So.
Yeah, and you and John worked together a lot on the costumes. I think didn't John make his costume the kind of the blue variant of the Captain Kirk thing from Star Trek 4? I think he made it, or he made part of it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, John and I worked on that together. He was lucky enough to meet with a gentleman who has a collection of
Has the
movie
original.
era, who has the original Captain Kirk like red suit, and he was able to take tracings off of it, which then we sat down and we took patterns and adapted adapted those to fit like the tracings and drawings that he'd been able to take from the original. So but then we decided that Carter needed to have something different, that he just shopped in the same store as Kirk. He didn't necessarily have the exact same tastes, and so we put him in blue instead of burgundy
Oh,
wine.
yeah, it looked good on him.
Yeah.
I thought it looked really good.
But what was awesome too was working with John on that was that's one of his. He told me that's one of his favorite Captain Kirk outfits from since he was younger. He's always loved that suit, and so to be able to help him make that happen, it was awesome. So, and then if you see other outfits in there, like Dr. Bishop's is based on what Jillian Taylor wore for like 3 seconds at the end of Star Trek 4.
Yeah,
It's kind of a civilian scientist
immediately.
outfit, just in different colors. So that was kind of somewhere my thinking came from. It was like, oh well, they shopped at the same stores. They just got the different color suit.
Well,
So-
it was on another level, Frank. I
Well,
think
thanks.
you're going to be cleaning up on winning, best costume yet again, especially because it really was what you talk about. Oh, they shopped at a different store. That's really what the spirit of fan film is. Honestly, is that we're not trying to make what's already been made. We're carving out our own corner of the Star Trek universe. We're expanding the lore with our fan films, and so that's really what we did here. Is we put our own spin on this franchise that we love so much, and everybody did it in their own way. Okay, we got a few people I'm going to say hi to in the comments here. We got Alan Anderson, and Alan Anderson was our production sound mixer. And he and Dan Scanlon drove up all the way from Jacksonville, Florida. Dan worked on, I don't know if Alan did, but I know that Dan worked on the Legacy Star Trek Starship Farragut back when it was at the Kingsland location at Studio 2. And I got to know them through working at what we eventually called Neutral Zone Studios, and worked on a lot of films with those gentlemen. And they drove up on their own dime. And they gave us, several weekends of amazing audio work, made my life so much easier. So thank you guys. It was really cool to see you. William J., who I have always referred to as the king of cosplay. Carter knew to have a lot of cash ready to go. I mean, that was funny. But now William, he's a lot of characters in this saga. Like here, he was the Cetacean officer on the Decatur, and he might have been a couple of other characters as well. So you're always going to see him a few times. Unlike like Larry Fleming, where it's just Larry Fleming playing multiple characters, William always has a different face, so he's a little harder to spot. And then, of course, our friend Paul. And he asks, will I appear? Will I get to appear a cameo in Monster Maroon? I have to lose some weight if I'm going to do a cameo. I'm working on it. But I don't,
we can make it work.
Do cameo times, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm undecided. And then he also asked earlier, back in the comments, 2024 is released. What is cresting the horizon for the Farragut team? Well, there will be a third film. I believe they're calling it Farragut Forever, not to be confused with Batman Forever.
There is Farragut Forever, but there's also going to be a couple, at least one or two shorts prior to us filming a third full-length feature again. And just to correct one thing, Dan Scanlon actually joined us at the first Farragut Film Studio in St. Mary's, Georgia, where he played a Romulan opposite of
That's right.
Frank Parker was a Romulan also. Yep. So
Yeah.
you might see familiar faces coming up. We got the Romulans to deal with in the Beta Quadrant, so who knows what's going to happen.
And
Yeah,
William J. is actually going to be in one of those spin-offs, Starship Genoa, and
right.
he's playing the first officer
Yep.
for that one.
So yeah, there was the scene with Kate Barnes, or Captain Barnes, played by Kate
That's the
Turner,
setup for it. Yeah.
and that scene was the setup for her. She's leaving to go to the USS Jenolan, and the next thing that the Farragut team does is they're going to follow what happens with Captain Barnes on her new command. I've seen the script; it's awesome. Not going to be a long form like this one. It's going to be a shorter film. But it's going to be cool. So we're going to have a couple of these smaller kind of vignette type films, and then I think that we have Jonathan James to thank for saying, hey, let's take a step back and let me swap him out real quick. Hang on, everybody. I'll bring y'all back in. Jonathan, you know, after this long journey, you're the one that kind of said, hey, if we're going to do the next movie, let's slow down and make it a great one, right?
Yes. It was more along the lines of we were just wrapping up Farragut Forward. We had already been in pre-production writing with Jim and the guys for the second film. And we were, my gosh, the last film was just hitting the screen, and we were already in pre-production for this production. So it was, and then we hit the ground running, and we were all working, and then we started doing the shoots and hitting weather obstacles, and then we had the SAG strike, and then everything and the fallout from that, and it pushing our shoots, and we just the energy and the momentum just kept going, and we kept forcing it and making it go and go and go. And now it's just like, okay, we need to pump the brakes. We got to pump the brakes. We got to slow it down. We got to preserve the friendships. We got to preserve the relationships. That's kind of where the idea came. To just take a break, focus on these smaller vignettes, and shoot those at a reasonable pace and direction, and not feel like we have to rush every single month. It's also important to remember that Farragut Forward was shot over the course of 3 years when they started.
Yeah.
We started pre-production and we ended post-production in about 1 year and 4 months.
Yeah, we started filming. I want to say the weekend after Farragut Forward came out.
Yeah,
and we went from not one to a finished film in just over 1 year's time. There's some crazy statistics with this film. I think we shot the whole thing total in 9 days. We definitely had the most amount of shooting locations because we had, the mall, the Air and Space Museum, James Madison University, adapted other parts of the building that serves as the studio. We had some outdoor locations. We went to the Rocket Garden at the Goddard Space Flight Center. So we did a lot of on-location shooting, a lot of mobile kind of stuff. We were able to make
and some guerrilla shots.
Yeah, we were able to make this film for a lot less money because we already had costumes and we already had sets, and so we were able to save on some of the big expenses because of the first one. We were able to roll that over.
Absolutely.
And make for a
one
lot
of,
less
one of
money.
The biggest expense in this film actually was the location shootings. We spent the majority of that on craft services, transportation, overnight stays, and we got to thank the Moretti family for taking care of us. I'm telling, a lot of people would have spent a lot of money if Dave's family didn't step up and offer us their home for the majority of those final shoots.
Oh yeah, I mean it was so Dave's brother, correct? he had a lot of us stay at his house, and that place was hopping. I got to tell you, it was rap party central.
HQ2, baby. HQ2.
HQ2.
We had a great time there. I remember that when we wrapped shooting, we went and had a little impromptu rap party around the pool, and I sat there and talked to William J until like 1 a.m. It was just fantastic. Great hospitality. So definitely grateful there. But yeah, we made a movie really fast. I mean, just jumped right back into it and made another film in a year's time. And yeah, that's an accomplishment I feel like we should be proud of. And
absolutely.
I know for me,
Absolutely.
like the last week of trying to finalize that, I got, hey, you got to work overtime, and so I was working until 10 o'clock at night, several nights in a row over the past 2 weeks for my day job, and so I'm trying to just scramble the last couple of days to put the finishing touches on this, and this is what we do for fan films, y'all. This is how it works.
Right. Again, it's all volunteer. Nobody's getting paid. The only way you get paid is through craft services and your name in the credits.
So we've got this, but we do have this big third film in, where these vignettes, these smaller films are going to spin off kind of new characters like Captain Barnes, for example. The overall core Farragut story with Carter, with Tackett, with Smithfield, with our legacy Starship characters, and the Farragut herself is going to be with this bigger third film. Jim, we're just in the early stages of spinning that out. I don't think that we're even in the script writing part with that yet, correct?
No, not yet. So where we are with that right now, like you said, we've got Janolan, and Janolan in the timeline happens just about the time we find out that the Copernicus is under attack. So that's the beginning of the Janolan, when Barnes goes in on her first ship, and all that sort of thing. The third film, I have mapped out what we're going to do. There's a 9-page treatment, which I asked John not to look at yet because I have to simplify the MacGuffin in it, because I was trying to, David talked about doing an artificial black hole, and I couldn't find any way that you can actually close a black hole. So I thought, well, we'll do something else. And it got into time travel and all this crap that we've done before. And I was talking with John the weekend, we had the premiere, and I heard myself talking, and I quickly realized that was too much. So the story,
trying to simplify whatever it's going to be.
So I'm going to simplify that, but the character interactions are the same. There's going to be a lot of stuff for the 3 main characters, Carter, Bishop, and Valeric, will maintain. There's going to be a lot of interaction between Carter and Valeric that comes off of that whole reveal at the end, that whole hook. There will be a Romulan character that Michael Bednar knows about because he pissed her off. And then we'll have a Romulan scientist that Valeric ends up having a familiar relationship with, that will impact Carter's own experiences with his father. So
a lot of exciting things to look forward to when we're gonna, so with this film, so we got it done in about a year. We did spend several months planning it, and so I think what you're going to see the next time around is that we're going to take even a little bit more time to plan the whole thing out, because it's about a foundation. Making a film is like building a house, and foundation starts with what you do in pre-production and builds from there. And so we're going to take a little bit more time to design and craft a really amazing kind of high point film to kind of turn the page, so to speak. One person.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, to your point, you're exactly right. There are a lot more moving pieces in the third one. I mean, we've got 5 starships. We've got one Klingon ship that brings back a character from Farragut forward. We've got a Romulan ship, and then there are fleets with those two alien ships. And I told John at the beginning, I said, I need to, who can I blow up and get rid of? And then when I was writing, I found a way to keep them all. So it's going to be a lot of stuff, but I think it's doable. I think it's doable.
Excellent. Now, for a second, I do want to make an acknowledgement. John is not here at the moment. He wanted the focus to be on the team, to be on the team that put this together, because he's really proud of all of you, and I have to say that I am too. You know, for me, the thing about Farragut is it's defined as a team. You know, I think that that's what really sets Farragut apart, is that this team is amazing and works as a team. That's what drew me to, you know, to want to be here as a filmmaker. Is I wear, you know, in my own sphere, I wear way too many hats, and it drives me absolutely stark raving mad. And so being able to have such wonderful people to collaborate with, it was an amazing breath of fresh air. You know, you look at someone like Frank Sconey, you know, look at my Avalon films, like costumes probably the worst thing we do, you know, but you know, now you're stepping into a fan film where you got the best costume designer. What a change that is. You know what I mean? I'll swap him out so I love him for a second.
I mean, yeah, hello.
No, but it's just, you know, having somebody like you to do those costumes, having a Jonathan
No, I'm
James,
kidding.
a Dave Moretti to worry about logistics, to have a Mel Kelser to come in with William J. and do all this amazing makeup, to be able to reach out to Keith and say, Keith, I need help with this transporter panel that I'm you know, really screwing up. Or there was like 2 or 3 things that I went to you and I went, I'm blowing it with this VFX shot. You know, can you take care of this for me? And then there was one where he came back to me like within the week and he goes, I was looking at this one shot and I thought maybe you'd want some help with this one. And what he realized is it was about asking with it, and he sent it to me before I could ask for help with it. I was like, oh, well, I don't have to ask now. So that was great. And you know, Dave, where Dave helped me a lot was, you know, he just was kind of my shepherd from the beginning, the person who reached out and took me in and made sure I was taken care of. And, you know, I'm walking into this situation. I'm an outsider. I haven't worked with this team before. And I feel like, you know, am I going to blow this or whatever? And Dave did a lot to help me, you know, integrate into this. And so thank you for that. But I am still going to acknowledge all the work that John Broughton did, even though he's not here. That dude works his butt off for his fan films, for our fan films. I mean, the dude he will sew over Thanksgiving. He'd be down there sewing a costume. He'll be worrying about details. He's making every meeting, you know, like the guy, he put a lot of his own passion into it. He put a ton of his own money into it. And we wouldn't be here without him. You know, he's the person who brought all of this together. And I gotta say, I'm pretty amazed that he's put together such a fantastic team. So from the bottom of my heart to all of you, I just really appreciate all the effort that everybody here and not here. There are a few people that aren't here, many people that aren't here, put into making this movie. This is y'all's movie. And I'm grateful that I just got to hit record button. So thank you.
Well, Josh, thanks too. I mean, one of the things that I saw was I think talking with you, I guess this was probably like the biggest production you've done, and it was
certainly the longest.
There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff for you to take in, and I tell you, I would have been overwhelmed had I been you.
Yeah,
I was.
Josh.
Well, you didn't show it.
So I'm curious,
Um,
Josh. Like coming into this group after the first thing. What was your challenge? Or what were you most proud of with it? Like the way a shot came out, or the way a day ran, or anything like that?
it's going to be a weird answer.
Best ones.
For me, I want to. When I make a film, if I make an Avalon film, I know what I'm trying to make. I know what the story is. I've seen the whole movie in my head 1,000 times. Doing a film like this is more complicated in the standpoint, or there's so many more points of view to consider. So it's like you want to come in and you want to hear every point of view, from what's important to John to having a long meeting with Jim and saying, "Hey, walk me through this scene, and what are we trying to accomplish in this? What are the characters thinking? What's their motivation?" So that I know what we're trying to do, because it's like I've never really taken someone else's script beginning to end and adapted it like that. And that, as you got to have that skill set as a filmmaker. So to do that, really, it was for me about working with a team and navigating the ebbs and flows of, okay, I didn't see it as, well, I'm this great filmmaker and I'm going to come in and, no, I saw this as, I've got to come in and earn the respect of these people, because these are people who have been doing it so much longer than I have, who have accomplished so much more than I have. And so I felt like this was a great honor. And for me, the challenge was, I've got to honor everybody else's efforts. I have to earn the respect of the team. And it was about, like, at the very beginning, I felt like an outsider the first couple of days, for sure. Like I was just almost lost a little bit. And for me, I had to be like, get your shit together and just be confident that you're capable of doing this, and just go out and do it. And so I had to kind of overcome my own fear and just grab the camera and let the work speak for itself. And I think I was able to accomplish that. And I greatly appreciate that there's been such a positive response to the film. It's never going to be good enough for me. I'm always going to look at it and see every little thing and be like, I could have worked a little harder here or there. And so I don't know that I'm ever going to be satisfied with any film, but
I can tell you as a costume maker, I know where every mistake is on every costume I have ever made. No matter how great they turned out, and no matter the fact that no one will ever notice it, I still know that, like, oh yeah, that little tab has a wrinkled edge on it, on that dress I made 25 years ago. So
we are all our worst critics.
Yeah, right.
We will always be that way.
Yep.
Because our level of perfection is up here, and that's what we always try to obtain.
Yeah.
So hopefully, and Josh, hopefully we've warmed you up to be part of this family, and you take hold of that. So yeah.
And Josh,
Yeah.
keep in mind too, I was also new to this group. I mean, I knew Mike and I knew John from how many years ago was it? The Farragut Fest, Mike?
Wow.
It was
Ancient
quite a number.
history. That was
It was 84 years ago.
2015 or December 2014 was our last Farragut Fest,
Okay.
because we had sold the sets off to Voldemort.
So, yeah, I saw part of that conversation too. Yeah, so my in on it was, having met them, and Mike's sets just blew me away. Being a fan, I mean, I started watching the show when the first episode was broadcast.
Me too. Yeah.
TV. And so
Oh, yeah.
that was mind blowing. And then John and I both kind of, really kind of bonded over the costumes. And I think over a period of time, that's, he asked me to come in and write the script and help with the story. But yeah, it was I was new to it too, Josh, and they made me feel pretty comfortable pretty quickly.
Yeah,
So
for
real
those
quick,
who
go ahead, Frank. Go ahead, Frank.
I was going to say, for those who don't know who are watching this stream, Jim Brooks is the guy who wrote the books on the Monster Maroon era uniforms. Jim Brooks, as a youngin, he got to wear all these things. He got to put all of these costumes on, and he wrote. If you've ever seen the construction guides from the '80s that Lincoln Enterprise used to say, they what do they say? I think they say J.E. Brooks, don't they?
Yeah,
But
she
something
got
like
it
that.
wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Major was selling the notes on those costumes that you put together on how to work with those crazy patterns. So, and I've seen pictures of him all in the Monster Maroon and the field jacket and stuff. Your binder is crazy about that. So if you didn't realize, yeah, we've got like a guy who actually felt all these costumes and got to see them all firsthand. So.
Well, I got to tell you, I gained a huge understanding for Monster Maroons and movie era costumes from this, because like I wouldn't have known a legit Monster Maroon from a can of corn before this movie. Now I
Frank and John and I would know easily, right, Frank?
It's
now
true.
I look at the ones that are maybe kind of knockoff Monster Maroons, and I'm like, that's not a real one. That's not the right material.
Well, let me throw this right back at Frank. First of all, thanks, Frank. But let me say about Frank and John, and Frank knows this. I'm really anal retentive about most things, but also about that specifically. And as I've told John a lot of times, my yardstick is, does it look like it got stolen off the set? And everything that Frank does looks like it was lifted. It's just perfect.
Steve Holt.
Yeah, I'm about to hit you up again too, Frank.
Hey, we'll figure it out.
Advice. I know that you're working a lot more, but I may just be like, what's your advice about how to do this?
Okay.
Don't want to make life more stressful for you than I need to. So, but we'll talk soon about that. Real quick, Will wanted us to bring up Romel, who is like Mr. Everything.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people probably don't know. Romel's one of those guys. He's in the film. He's the comm officer towards the beginning of the film. And Romel is this. He's a guy who could do any job on a film set. Any job on a film set. I mean, you could hand him a boom pole, hand him a camera. He could have directed this movie. Might have been better if he had directed it. But he's got a great eye. He's one of the smartest people I think I've ever met. I mean, he finds all of those things that everyone else misses. He's that guy that goes, well, make sure you do this, because if you don't, we could have this problem. I mean, and he's forward thinking. He's versatile. He's indispensable on set, and he's one of the most. I think he was the MVP for the previous movie in the Director's Choice Award.
Well, he's also and like you said, Josh, he excels at everything, and he's a great cyclist too, by the way.
100%.
But
I bet he is. He's really fast.
He and I are going to ride at some point. But we had a couple of things. One was a pacing thing, and one was an internal logic thing with the script when we were on set. And I don't know if you remember, but specifically on the one that was outside the vault where the plutonium was, we were talking and Romel was going, this is just going too slow. It's going too slow. And I'm going, yes, you're right. And I don't know what to do. He goes, well, why don't we go to this page here and then this page here and cut this page and a half in between. It's like perfect.
After my heart.
His instincts were just right. Just right.
But you know, on set he was gaffer, he was first AD, he was whatever you needed him to be. So yeah, definitely don't want to not mention how amazing Ramon was. So, all right, we've been at this about an hour. Any last thoughts? Anybody who wants to go around and say anything?
You can never have enough shoes or handbags. Patsy from AbFab. You can never have enough shoes or handbags.
What was it Captain Kirk said just before dying? It was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, we did.
Yep.
You know, for me, that's the thing that I hope anyone ever takes from a fan film is, guys, we're here to do this because we love it. We're here to enjoy the experience, and if we're not enjoying the experience, we're not doing it right. And I think we all had a good time with this one. I remember one specific memory for me was when we were shooting the plutonium vault scene, and I came in that morning, and Mike was in there working on the set, and I was like, "All right, this kicks ass." You know, Mike's in there working on the set. This is great. You know, and he was having fun, and he had a smile on his face. It just made my day. And even helping, even just in there going, like, getting in on the action. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm glad to see Mike having a great time. So it's, you know, that's what it's all about, being able to drive Keith out there and have just hang out and get his
and part of the Constitution crew.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was awesome. That was awesome.
I mean,
that was my favorite part, was just hanging out in the background, just pressing buttons on the background. I loved it.
Well, see, now you're a staple, so you got to be there in the third one too.
Oh, I know.
See?
Yeah.
I'll drive you out there, man.
I'll be there.
What was everybody's favorite moment from making this film? Let's start with Artie. What was your favorite moment from making this film?
I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of good moments from the film. I'm taking away a lot of good moments and a lot of good times. So just the opportunity to
there was that one nephew.
That one right there is probably one of my favorite ones. Yeah. So.
Mike, what was your favorite moment from working on this film?
Now I got your attention. So before we filmed my scenes, if you notice, out of all the ones that were dressed in a monster maroon, I was the one who had my flap open. And everybody was telling me I had to close it. And John came up, he said, "No, it's Mike's ship. He can do what he wants." Remember that?
Yeah. I didn't get that.
Mine was open. It's my ship.
Well, what's crazy too is that we've literally made all of these monster maroons with like the right color flaps and all the right chain and all the snaps, and you never see it because nobody's ever got their flaps open.
See?
So open my flaps. That's what I say.
Frank Stoney, what was your favorite moment making this film?
You know, one of my favorite moments, I would say, was out of everything that happened. There was on our first weekend shoot when we were at that coffee shop, and it was a fun time hanging out there all day. There was this weird, crazy woman who came up and was asking about our clothes. I think she might have been like DC intelligence or something like that. She's like, "What are you weirdos doing here?" "Oh, I love it." Took pictures of us. But was Dave outside of the coffee shop when we were filming the scenes inside? He was paying for all of the coffee and donuts for anybody who came up to the door and wanted to go in, because we couldn't let them inside the coffee shop during that time. So, and I just thought, there's some dedication for putting on a show. He was literally out there with his credit card. He said, "Okay, you want to have double decaf with a twist of lemon? All right, here you go." And so, that was just that whole vibe at the coffee shop that first filming weekend, which was only 2 weeks after the premiere of Farragut Forward, by the way.
Yeah.
was just awesome, and just all the camaraderie with her. Mike Bednar is like the godfather of the show. There, you were there a bunch, and it's like you welcome everybody, whether they've been there a day or whether they've been there a couple years, like family, and that was awesome.
Everybody's a volunteer, and treat them with the level of respect that you want to be treated. They're family. Once you come through that door, everybody's family.
And don't you forget it.
That was that first weekend we were all hanging out at that Airbnb.
Murder house.
There. That was fun. Jim Brooks, your favorite moment making this film?
Well, it was, and I'm sure, Josh, you had to put up with me, but I was kind of stressed the whole time because I just wanted to do everything I could do to make it the best that it could be.
I hear you.
But one of my favorite parts was my good friend, Mr. Yeah, that's right. That's where
I knew where this was going.
You knew where it was going. My good friend, Mr. Michael Bednar, I'm sitting there. It was the last day, Josh. I don't know if you remember this, but I'm sitting there and Kate comes up to me and she's got a shot glass and she goes, here's some whiskey. And I said, I don't drink whiskey straight. She goes, no. Mike sent it over and you got to drink it and you just throw it back. And I went, okay. Because Mike had been going, it'll take the edge off, because I'm going, wow, we're the last day and it's so stressful and all this stuff. So I did that and I started feeling pretty good. And then for the rest of the afternoon, Kate keeps coming up to me with another glass of whiskey. And I think I may have had 6 or 7.
Oh my
and it
gosh.
didn't get me drunk, but it was, she was sitting next to me at one point and she goes, I'm going to get to see Jim Brooks drunk. I'm going, well, not drunk, but smiling a lot more. That's for sure. So that probably was my favorite part. I mean, other than it was like I said, I have a little trouble enjoying things at the moment, being at the moment, because I just want it to be the best it can be. But I got to tell you, it was a thrill to see you guys bring what I had written to life, because I've written a lot of scripts. I've come close a number of times, but this was the first time where I actually got to hear the words, that heretofore I'd only heard in my head, So that was a big thing. And of course, the whiskey was good too,
And it's not a normal thing for the writer to be on set, but I felt like you needed to be there, and I specifically wanted to work alongside you in translating what you had written to the page, and I felt like it went really good. It could have been a lot more difficult than it was, because a lot of times directors don't like to work with writers.
Oh yeah,
you were able to form a friendship because of that.
Oh yeah, you threw me for a loop when you said that, because my training has been, the Hollywood role of the writer, well, I won't tell this joke because it's about writers, but it's politically incorrect. But yeah, writers, it's like, we got your script, get the hell out of here. So when you said, I want you to help with the rehearsals, and I want you to sit down with me, and I want you to be on set, it took me a little bit to get used to it, but I really appreciate that, because from writing scripts, that when you're writing, if you write the way I do, I write literally what I see and hear.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so having the opportunity to give you that input was great, and I appreciate it.
Helped me a lot, and doing the rehearsals before we went into shooting the scene is something we ported from Avalon, and I thought it really helped. So
it did. I think John has done some of his best stuff, and one of the things I was particularly I felt was rewarding, going back to what Frank was saying about the location shoot at the coffee shop, was seeing Christine really crystallized on playing the Vulcan. She got it, because up to that point she was trying to play it too flat, and she was letting some of her expression come out, and she got it. That was great.
She was fantastic. Dave introduced us to her. She's the newcomer for the film. She had a fantastic audition, and was just a joy to have on set. So she's a great addition to the Farragut cast. Excited to see her in the next film. Jim, I'm going to swap you out real quick for Jonathan James.
Actually,
So-
Josh, if you want to go ahead and swap me out, I do need to. I need to jump. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
He's been on the road all day. We're going to the Star Trek convention tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's 10,
All right, so
10:20, so it's approaching my bedtime. You can swap me out also if you got somebody else in the wings.
All right, we're gonna wrap up here real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, well, if you want to go, you can go. If you want to stay, you can stay. We're gonna wrap up here in just a bit. All right, Jonathan, your favorite moment?
Josh,
And
we
you
lost
muted.
you.
Was it me? Was it me?
Jonathan, you're muted.
There, I finally
Okay.
did it.
Your favorite moment?
Yes, I have a couple of them. One of them was having Jim Brooks sign this little guy.
Oh, there you go.
We were talking about it earlier. The
Oh my God.
Fletcher's notes from
That's a blast
1986.
from the past. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Jim. That was great. I've never met Jim personally until we started doing Farragut Forward, and it was at the bridge shoot.
Mhm.
And I went up to him and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's Jim Brooks!" And I've just been a fan of his ever since I was little, because of all the work that he's done with the Monster Maroons and everything. And when he came out onto the set wearing his Admiral's uniform, I'm like, "Oh, you and I have got to get pictures together." So those are some of my favorite pictures from being on set with Farragut Forward.
Mine too.
My favorite moments with this film, not really the filming part. I'll start with it took me into a very uncomfortable place that I'd never really been before. And everybody, even I know we're missing a lot of people off this, but everybody here really, they helped me too. Like you guys all helped me. You guys gave me pointers, little bits of wisdom, things that I was able to take and help us get to where we needed to go. So that was really awesome. And to go with Mike Bednar, when you're on set, you're family. And that has to be my absolute favorite part of this whole film is my family is in this movie. My daughter and my girlfriend are in the film. So we are,
Fantastic.
the James clan is on the screen, and I cannot be any more thankful than that.
To add to Jonathan, one of the things that he has done, so it has never failed that usually the hardest workers on any film that we do usually find a nice place of carpet and they'll lay down and take a nap. And that's John Broughton and Jonathan James. Those two have managed to find a place, lay on the carpet, and fall asleep.
Some long days.
Yes, they are.
Okay,
That's
Keith,
dedication.
we're gonna wrap it up with you. Your favorite moment from Farragut 2024. Keith, you there? Can you hear me?
Keith. Keith.
Are you there?
Hello. Keith.
Oh. Looks like we've lost him somehow. Let me see
Keith,
if I
can you
can
hear us?
chat him.
He says he can't hear Michael either. Lost audio.
I don't know if anybody can hear me. I just can't
I can hear
hear
I can hear you.
we can
Josh
hear
or
you.
Michael.
Okay, somebody else asked him like what his favorite moment was from working on the film.
Keith, what was your favorite moment from working on the film? What's your favorite memory?
See if I can hear it on the stream.
Let me see if I can.
Do we have chat?
Yeah,
Yeah,
private
I
chat.
can hear him. Yeah, let me message him.
Okay, you can hear me, but I can't hear.
What is your favorite moment?
Are you asking me? Okay. All right. My favorite memory. Hopefully, everybody can hear me. I can't hear some people for some reason. I mean, honestly, hang on a second here. Okay. My favorite moment from the show is, or from the film is, of course, I'm sitting here most of the time at home just doing stuff. So just being able to go out there and meet everybody and, just kind of be just a part of the filming, even if it wasn't an active part, just be able to watch it and just watch everybody interact and then meeting everybody. And in particular, just putting on the uniform and being part of the background on screen. That's probably just my favorite moment. That's just like a dream come true to be able to do that. Be able to put on a costume and just be back there, pressing buttons and just doing that. I mean, that's it. That was the highlight of the whole thing, and just worth the trip out and worth it all.
Man, it's every Star Trek fan's dream. That's one of the reasons we do this. So, guys, thanks for joining me tonight. A lot of like we've said, there's so many more people that worked on this that were able to make it. We had Gina Hernandez playing Captain Logan. We had people like Rhett and the rest of the set team. We had people like William J. and Michelle Clauser. We could go on and on and on with all of the phenomenal people that did a lot of really hard work, and everybody made a huge contribution. Jonathan, you mentioned your girlfriend. Not only was she an actress, she did a lot of the craft services and helped feed us the whole time. And so,
That's right. She kept us with full bellies.
yeah. So everybody, a film is never made because of just one person. A film is made by a team. And this is the ace team in Star Trek fan films. And I am so glad that I could be a part of what you guys are doing. So we're going to kick it off here, a little live stream. So let's just leave it out with live long and prosper, y'all. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Got a bent finger.